What up, everyone? Back for another video. This time we're talking about advent calendars. So the purpose of this video is to let you know, what's in them. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting? Are there ones that are worth it? Are there ones that aren't? Basically the what's inside each one, which one's right for you. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to find the one that's right for you, if any at all. So I have 5 here that I'm going to talk about, and a lot's changing. So with these advent calendars, a lot of them are going to be Funko, and I have no proclivity towards Funko whatsoever, but they just make the most, so they show up more often. So you're going to see a few of those in there, but I got some from some other companies as well, and we'll talk about what's the value of it, and we're going to talk about some more things like that. So, things that have changed recently, specifically with Funko, they've been making new calendars, which I think is a really good thing. Because for the longest time, they just had the same advent calendar they put out every year. And it was the Freddy Funko pint-sized heroes. And they just put that out every year. So I'm glad they stopped doing that, because that completely ruins the value if they're just going to keep putting it out. And I think they realized that too. So starting this year, they stopped doing that old one and are doing new ones each year, which I think is a great thing. And now that makes them really collectible, because you can only get them for the specific year. Hopefully that's the trajectory they keep with. Hopefully they don't do these repeat ones. But, it's tough to say exactly what they're going to do. But I'm a big fan of these advent calendars because it is the cheapest way to collect a series. Like, yes, the cheapest way. So when you think about it, these are, whether it's the pint-sized heroes or the pocket pops, it's still the cheapest when you do the math. And originally these calendars were like $30. And then last year they moved up to $40, and now this year they're moving up to $50 or $60, which sounds really expensive, but it's still worth it when you do the math. Thinking about, you get 24 figures in there, even if it's $50, that's still, you're only paying about $2 a piece for these pocket pop figures. And if you were to buy them in the store, you'd pay at least $5 a piece. Even when you look at mystery minis, on the cheap end of mystery minis, $5 or $6 minimum. But most stores charge $6, $7, and upwards. Like Hot Topic even charges like $10 or $12 for just one blind box figure. So yeah, and those are blind box. So if you buy a case, most of the time you're not going to get a complete set. Even the ones that are all common and you get 12 set figures, the cheap end is still $60 for 12 figures, and most likely $70 or $80. These, on the other hand, you're only paying $50 or $60, depending on what you paid for it, and you're getting 24 figures, you're getting a complete set. So I think these are the best bang for your buck. So whenever the advent calendars get announced, I get really excited and I snatch up a lot of them. They also sometimes do Halloween ones, but those are much more rare and uncommon. So again, I think this is the best way to do it. It's just really cheap and an easy way to do it. So I'm a big fan. So we'll just start out. I'm not going to go too in-depth about each one, because they're pretty generic for the most part, but I'll touch on a few things that I liked and disliked. First one, we got the Funko Office one. And once again, I think this is just a great way to collect these figures, because they do, the pocket pops are always imitations of the regular size pop figure. The reason they do that is to save money, so they don't have to hire someone to design smaller figures. When they make the pop, they just shrink it down and then reproduce it at a smaller size. So all the figures you see in the advent calendars have a bigger version somewhere out there. So that's to be expected. So usually they show which figures. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This one they didn't. They only showed a few of them, but I'll be showing a picture of everything you can get inside. And these all have corresponding bigger pop figures. So if you're ever kind of curious, you're not sure what's in there, you can kind of guess based on what's been released in the past year or just in the past few years. You can look at the recent pops they've released, and that's most likely what will be in the calendar. So for this one, you got one of every of the main characters, like the original main cast from the first few seasons, and then you get variations of Michael, Jim, and Dwight. I think you get 3 of each of them, which is cool. I really like that. And I like The Office. It's a great show, but I didn't love it enough to go buy each individual pop figure, spend $10 or $12 on like 30 or 40 different ones. Like, no way. I'm not going to have a whole wall in my house dedicated to Office pop figures. So this is a better way of doing it. They're much smaller, much easier to display. I don't have to go through mystery boxes and search around for rare ones and stuff like that. Simple, easy, buy it right here, full set, done. So I like that, and I like that they did some variations of the characters, and I think that's really great. And the price on this one was $50, and it's kind of goes up and down. So the closer you get to Christmas, it's going to be more discounted, and that's why I wanted to do this video right now. Usually I wait till after the new year, after I've opened up each individual one, but I kind of pushed it ahead because it's too late when the new year comes because you can't get them anymore. So closer to Christmas, this gets discounted. I think it's at 40 right now. Target's been giving discounts lately, but I paid 50, which still makes it completely worth it. You're only paying about $2 a figure, and the quality is really great. They really put some really nice, finite details in there. So as you can see in the pop figure, they're very simplistic, but you can still tell what the character is by the detail they put on the body, and they really have some nice detail. The only one that I had trouble figuring out was Angela. She has something in her hand, and it's very hard to tell. I assume it's a cat, and I'll hopefully show a close-up picture of it, but it's very hard to tell. So most of them had really nice detail. That one was a little wonky. I think she's holding a cat, but it's kind of hard to tell. Other than that, very detailed, very well done. So overall, I enjoyed it. There we go. And another one from Funko, Pokemon. I'm a huge Pokemon fan. Same thing, even though I'm a huge fan, it's just too difficult, too expensive, too much space to go through and collect the full size of each one of these characters. And considering that there are over 1,000 Pokemon now, like, no way, like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, that's ridiculous. But I've been saying for a while that they should do a mystery mini series of Pokemon. I think that would be great. I don't think they're ever going to, but this is a very close second. So it's not mystery minis, obviously, but it's the same concept of them, probably around the same size of that, so I think this is great as well. The only complaint I had about this is that there were 4 characters in here, right here, that were just silver versions of regular characters, and anyone that knows me knows I hate that. I hate when they just paint something a solid color and they're like, special edition. It's like, no, fuck that. That's so stupid. So you got the silver ones in here. It was only 4 of them, so it wasn't a big deal. And I assume the reason for that is they didn't have enough designs to fill out the whole case. I don't think they had 24 separate designs that they had done yet. And I don't think they're going to go through the trouble to make 4 special designs just for this box, because I can't imagine they're making a ton of money off this, because they're giving you 24 figures for $50. That's not a good profit margin there. So there was no way they were going to create 4 new ones just for this. So I get why they did that, but you know, still not great. So that was the one major complaint I had. Another thing that was both nice and bad about this is that in this set, this is the only one I've seen this, they actually come with clear stands to stand on, which is cool because when you get these smaller figures, they're very nice in detail, but a lot of times it's very hard for them to stand up. And even when you get them to stand, it's very unbalanced because they're so top heavy because their heads are so huge. So I like that they put the little clear bases in there because that makes it really easy to have them stand up. The only downside is, well, for me, one, it made them just barely too big to fit on my shelves, so they're kind of cluttered in there. Not a big deal. But the other thing is they made them attached to the base. Usually when Funko products come with a base, it's just a base with a little peg and you put the figure on there. For some reason, they attached them with glue, and when this showed up, a lot of them are broken off the base. So that was a bit unfortunate. Not a huge deal, pretty easy to fix them, but still, in the future, I think I would highly recommend not attaching them to the base, just having the base in there with it, and you could put it on yourself. So yeah, a lot of them came broken off the base, and some of the feet came broken off, which is, you know, unfortunate, but it's kind of to be expected. So that was the Pokemon one. This costs the same price as the other Office one. The Funko ones at this year, 2021, are roughly $50. The only one that wasn't was the one I didn't get this year. That was the Harry Potter one. That one was, for some reason, only $40. And I could be wrong, but I feel like that was leftover from last year, because I feel like I saw that last year and it is the same one. So that could be why. Maybe they had leftovers, so they're selling them at a cheaper price. But yeah, that's the only one that wasn't $50, which is very odd to me. But it could have been just something that Target was doing, because that's where I was checking the prices. So I didn't get that one, but you know, there was that. Another one I didn't get was the Five Nights at Freddy's. They had a special one with pint-sized heroes. Wanted it, looked cool, but that was also a little bit more expensive, and I had to kind of pick and choose a little bit. All right, so those are the Funko ones. Nothing super exciting there. Let's get on to ones that aren't Funko. So we got the Toy Surprise, the mini brands. I am a huge fan of this company. Like I just love many things. I'm a huge fan of miniatures. As you can see by this whole wall over here, all just very tiny things. Some of them are valuable, some of them aren't. They're just really cool because they're so tiny. I'm just a sucker for minis. It's just so impressive to me that they can make things with such finite little detail, and the smaller the better. Now, there are two companies that do this currently. There's this one, the 5 Surprise is what they go by. The company is Zuru. I've also done videos on a company called Super Impulse. They do something very, very similar where they take toys and make them smaller. The main characteristic is Super Impulse sticks strictly to 80s toys, and then the 5 Surprise is, for the most part, Nickelodeon-inspired things. There's some classic toys in there, but most of the stuff in here is Nickelodeon-based. And what I mean by that is they have a lot of SpongeBob. They have Ninja Turtles. They have Avatar. They have Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy. So a lot of Nickelodeon-inspired things, which is cool, don't get me wrong, but I hope both of these companies branch out from that and start to explore other things. So as far as this advent calendar itself, this one is kind of on the line of whether it's worth it or not. The Funko ones, very much so, very high in quality, good price, really great stuff. This one is cheaper, so it's only $30, and right now, by the way, $20 on Target on clearance if you want to pick this up, $20 right now, but normal price $30. You get 24, so that leaves it a little bit more than $1 per item. Now, the regular items, there are a lot of regular ones in here that aren't exclusive to the calendar. They come in a little orb that has 5 figures, and they're roughly, depending on where you go, $6 or $7. Some companies sell them for $10, but you can usually find them for $6 or $7, which again makes them a little bit more than $1 for each figure. So price-wise, it's about the same. It's a little difference, but very, very minute, a few cents here and there depending on how you look at it. So the only real selling point for this calendar is the 6 exclusive mystery ones. And the good news about it is that the exclusive figures are actually very rare. They're the rare ones, which they kind of set the standard for what's rare and what's not. But at least they're giving you rare ones. But again, it's the gold painted versions of things, so they kind of cheap out there. So we got silver and gold and glow-in-the-dark versions of ones they already had out there. So nothing to blow your mind, but still, it's nice that they're putting some exclusives in there. So I don't know how important that is to people because I'm not trying to collect every figure here. I only like some of the things from this company. The ones that are little tiny action figures like the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, those ones I love. Those are just the coolest thing ever. But a lot of these brands are just like a little box. Like they're just like a tiny little box with a design on them, and I'm like, that's lame. That's literally just a tiny box that you just printed very tall. That's not impressive. That's very lame. But luckily, probably like half of them are actual little figures in there, so those are really cool, and there are a lot of those in there. So this one's kind of on the line, and it's up to you. Do you like that kind of stuff? And this one doesn't have a ton of collectability. The items in here aren't going to be worth a ton of money. The Funko ones will most likely increase over time, especially if they don't put them out the following years. These ones, it's kind of borderline. These are very collectible, and this brand usually sells out in stores, but they don't go for a high price online because they're just so incredibly small and cheap. So there is a lot of hype over them, but I can't imagine them increasing too much over time. And another problem with this company is that they keep releasing new series, but they don't separate it from the original series. So they keep coming out with new figures, and they just add it to this big lot of figures that they keep putting out. So there's no limited run. So I can't imagine a high resale value or a lot of collectability for something like this. So that's why I said it's kind of on the borderline. Not worth a ton, doesn't cost a ton either. Cool stuff, but not everything's cool. So it's right on the border. So that's kind of up to you to decide, and I'll leave that up to you. So that's it. 5 Surprise by Zuru. Next, we got an advent calendar from Insight Editions. Now, I thought this company sounded familiar, and I went back and checked my old video, and it is. And if I can remember, which I probably won't, I'll put a link in the description, but if not, you can search my channel for last year's advent calendars. But they made this, which I was a big fan of. Also Nightmare Before Christmas, also Insight Editions, where it was this book where it was a pop-up tree, and little ornaments was the advent calendar. And this is completely reusable. Everything seals up just the way it came. And I am going to reuse it this year. So it was really great. It was a good buy. And the art style was amazing. The presentation on it was really well done. So yeah, I really like that. So this is another one. Very similar concept, but like different items. This was all ornaments. They were all paper ornaments, very cheap. This is kind of the same situation, around the same price. It was around $25 to $30, depending on where you got it from. So it's, again, just like a book. And then here's the inside. And then you have all these little, like, envelopes, I guess you'll call them. And they have different pictures on them, and they have different items on them. And I'll show a picture of all the things that came in there. And it was a big, assortment of things. Very cheap stuff, just like the calendar. The presentation was the main selling point. It looks really cool. And the stuff in there was just on the cheaper side, much like the original one. So some of it was ornaments, and unfortunately some of the ornaments were replicas from the previous year, which, no, don't do that. Don't do repeat items. Make new ones. It wouldn't be that hard to do. At least they made them a different size, so there is some differentiation, but still, no. Not a lot of them, just 4 of them, no big deal. And anything from Post-it notes to stickers, magnets, little thank you cards. We got one wood ornament of Jack's face on there that's kind of like laser etched in there. So yeah, pretty generic stuff. We got some recipes and a few games in there. So really just fun stuff, a more interactive calendar. And there were some new ornaments that they made. And the artwork on these ornaments is actually really cool. Give you a close-up. Focusing? There we go. So yeah, the artwork on these is really well done. I like that they put some effort and have some different artwork in there. And they're not just taking pictures online and making stickers and stuff. So that's what I like about this company. They're going through the trouble to make their own designs and make their own products that are special and specific to this very calendar. One thing I like the most is they had one little book that was just full of fun facts. And they were just really interesting. Like one here, it said it took 6 months to create the 3-minute scene of Jack in the cemetery when he crashes his sleigh. 6 months. That's fucking crazy. So that was my favorite thing with fun facts. And a lot of the other things in here are interactive. Not particularly for me. I don't really need any games like that. But I can see this being really fun for like a smaller child, or if a family had this and they wanted to share in the event together, that'd be really cool. Just like this one. It's more for the younger kids and stuff like that. So this one, really no collectability to it. The things in here are not going to increase in value over time. There's practically no resale value, but it's just more interactive. So it's just more fun to do. So again, that's more up to you what you're looking for. If you're not looking for collectability, you don't care about the value, you don't care about resale value, that's okay. This one's for you. This is something more interactive, something more for the family, cool. But if you want something more on the collectible side, more of the Funko stuff, then that's for you. So there we go, Inside Editions, Nightmare Before Christmas. The last one I'm going to talk about is one that I actually didn't get, but I did want to mention. Because it's actually the only one that I think is absolutely not worth getting. Funko ones, definitely. Other two, on the border, depending. This one, not so much. So I did one last year from this. This was of, what was the company name? Jazzwares. And this is just the regular Pokemon figure company that they make all the figures. You see them in Target, toy stores. That's the company that makes those. They make an advent calendar. So basically what they did, they take the same figures they've sold, just like Funko does. They made them shiny or glittery or whatever and put them in the advent calendar. So this time around, they switched it up a little bit. They have repeat characters, but they've done little things like put Christmas hats on them and stuff like that. So fine, at least they're doing something different. They're not doing the same repeat items. I give you respect for that. But here's the problem with this. This one is the most expensive advent calendar at $60. And, you know, not a ton more than these, like only $10 or possibly $20 more, but still, that's getting up there. That's pretty pricey for an advent calendar. And here's the kicker. Usually, you get 24 figures. This one, just like last year, you only get 16. There are 24 things in there, but only 16 figures. The other thing are cardboard pieces. And I didn't like this last year. They had cardboard pieces to build a cardboard tree. And it's not like one tree was one thing. No, you got the base to a tree was one day, the midsection to a tree, and the top tree 3 different days, and you build this cardboard tree that has nothing to do with anything. Like, why? That's so stupid. They've done so many characters over the years. They have them already made. Why not make them all figures? Why are they doing these stupid things? And they even advertise it. There's like lights and sounds, and I'm sure some of these cardboard things make a sound or make a light, but it's a piece of cardboard. Like, come on, like that's so dumb. So when you do the math, it's still slightly cheaper than buying these figures, but I honestly would spend a little bit more and just buy the figures and not get a glittery version or Pikachu with a Christmas hat. So it's so weird that they would charge more and give you less. That just seems so ass backwards. So to me, that one's not worth it at all. You'd be much better off just buying your own figures in that case. And it's not like you get all the Pokemon or something like that. No, you just get a handful of them. And this year around, they have some really random ones that not even I recognize. Like, there's a few of them in there that I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck that is. That's the really random. So that one, in my opinion, is just not worth it. It costs too much money, and I don't know why. And I don't think there would be a high resale market on that. I don't think they're very collectible. I really don't think they're going to go up in value anything significant anytime soon. So I did want to bring that up as something that's just definitely not worth it in my personal opinion. But that's just me. It may be worth it for you. So yeah, that's the basic idea of it. As always, if you have any questions about things you see or things you didn't see, things that didn't make sense, please feel free to ask them. And if you have questions about things for collectibles in general, things that don't have to do with advent calendars, just in general, feel free to post a comment or a question at any time, and I will answer it every single time. So thank you for watching and supporting. Other than that, let me know your thoughts and opinions. Is there any that I didn't see, that I didn't talk about here that you would have liked to have seen? Was there some that I missed? Please let me know. And hopefully this video gets posted with enough time for you to go buy some for yourself. But now is the best time to do so because there is the biggest discounts right before Christmas. And most people would say, well, why don't you wait till after Christmas? It'll be highly discounted. In theory, that works, but most of the time, they sell out. Most of the time, they sell out, and they usually don't sell things after Christmas anyway. If they have a surplus, they'll just hold them to the next year, put them in their warehouse, and then sell them again. So I wouldn't hold your breath trying to wait for after Christmas sales. I think now's the best time. Again, could be wrong. Things might change this year, but that's my opinion for you. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you all for watching and supporting. See you on the next video. Love you all. Peace.